A lot has changed since David Letterman was hosting his late night show, and resurfaced clips of his interviews with women are now being called creepy and intrusive. And I'm going to be breaking it all down for you now. I'm Mackenzie, and let's get into the top 10 creepy David Letterman moments. And yes, there's actually more than 10, but we're just showing you 10 now. And at number 10, Lindsay Lohan. Lindsay Lohan's experience with David Letterman was so bad that she started tearing up by the end of the segment. Lohan appeared on the show in 2013 to promote her new movie, Scary Movie 5. But she hardly ended up talking about the movie because Letterman kept asking her about her time in rehab and her addiction issues. Right off the bat, Letterman told Lohan that she looked, quote, remarkably well, kind of a backhanded compliment, before launching into invasive questions about whether or not she steals things and manages her money responsibly. He then started asking about rehab, but Lohan tried dodging the questions a number of times. But when they kept coming up anyways, she flat out said, quote, "We didn't discuss this in the pre-interview," and asked Letterman to, quote, "stay on the positive." And even though Lindsay clearly didn't want to talk about it, he brought up the topic once again near the end of the interview, and Lohan actually started tearing up. And at number 9, Paris Hilton. Paris Hilton was a guest on the show in 2007 after she had been in jail for 45 days for driving without a license. She went on the show to promote her latest perfume, but she spent most of her time talking about her jail time. He asked her questions about her time in jail over and over, talking about why she was in jail, the food, and what she did to stay busy while inside, while she was trying to dodge the questions respectfully. She later accused Letterman of purposely trying to humiliate her. On her podcast, This Is Paris, she said Letterman agreed not to talk about her sentence on the show and focus on the fragrance she was promoting. She even spoke to him during the commercial breaks and apparently was begging Letterman to stop asking her about jail, but of course he still did. Paris started tearing up near the end of the interview and said that she left the stage visibly crying. She visited the show again years later, and Letterman apologized for his past behavior. And number 8, Janet Jackson. After Janet Jackson's infamous wardrobe malfunction during the 2004 Super Bowl halftime show, every talk show host was dying to talk to her about it. And of course, David Letterman was one of them. So when Jackson went on the show to promote her newest CD, she was absolutely berated with questions about the incident, even though she made it very clear that she did not want to talk about it, saying after the first few questions, quote, "I don't want to relive any of that." Letterman ignored that, then repeatedly asked if the onstage moment was a pre-planned stunt, which she denied multiple times. When Letterman finally pivoted away from the halftime show, he started asking about her dating life, along with other intrusive questions about her brother Michael Jackson's recent arrest. Then at the very end of the interview, Letterman asked Jackson about her CD. And at number 7, Jennifer Aniston. One creepy interview Letterman had with Jennifer Aniston was from 1998, and Aniston was sharing a story of how some fans found her in the steam room of her gym and tried to take a picture with her. During the interview, Letterman was asking a lot of questions about that incident, asking if the women were naked and how many women were in the steam room. The conversation changed topics, then they started talking about how Aniston doesn't like flying. But in the middle of that, Letterman all of a sudden goes back and says, "Forgive me if this is rude, I just want to try one thing." Then he walks behind Aniston where she can't see what's happening. He then takes a strand of her hair that was hanging in front of her face and puts it in his mouth. When Aniston realized what was happening, she started squealing until he stopped. And then he gave her a napkin to dry her hair. Then he said, quote, "I'm sorry, something to do with the steam room," which made the entire thing just infinitely more creepy. And at number 6, Uma Thurman. Uma Thurman visited The Late Show in 1995 to talk about her newest film, A Month by the Lake. The interview started off discussing Europe and what it was like for Uma to film there. Then it turned to the plot of the movie, which was Thurman's character turning down an older man that was trying to date her. This then turned to Letterman asking Thurman about her dating life and prying about how old of a man that she would date. He asked her if she had ever dated a man who was 30 years old, then 35. Then he jumped to ask if she would ever date a man who was 48, aka Letterman's age at that time. She quickly responded no, and before changing topics, Letterman commented, quote, "God, your ears are just perfect," which is a super weird compliment. Halfway number 5, Gwen Stefani. Gwen Stefani went on the show to talk about all her new projects that she was working on at that time, but it seemed that all Letterman was interested in talking about was her legs. Between her marriage to Gavin Rossdale, her new music, and her clothing line, Stefani had plenty to discuss with Letterman when she visited his show. But after each topic, Letterman made a point to compliment her on how good that she looked. When she started explaining the process process that went into her latest record, Letterman responded, quote, "You have tremendous legs." And obviously giving a compliment is always a nice thing, but giving so many that you make the guest visibly uncomfortable is obviously a problem. In at number 4, Madonna. Madonna's interview on Letterman in 1994 was the stuff that legends are made of. The appearance was one of the most controversial of all time because Madonna dropped the F-bomb a record number of 14 times while on the live television show. But some people believe that Madonna was egged on. At the time, Letterman often talked about Madonna's dating life in his monologues, which she directly called him out for during her time on the show, asking him at one point, quote, "Why are you so obsessed with my sex life?" At the top of the show, Letterman also asked her to kiss a guy in the audience multiple times before finally letting it go. And honestly, the entire thing was just a complete train wreck. And at number 3, Mariah Carey. During an interview with Mariah Carey, Letterman told the singer that she, quote, "looked like a girl who likes to have fun." The interview was in 2001 to promote a holiday special called Home for the Holidays. That was for a philanthropic cause. Then later on in the interview, he asked her what she does for fun. Well, the audience laughed because they sensed a more lewd meaning to that question. Carey later shared that she had plans to go skiing over the holidays. She told Letterman that she's not very skilled, but she likes the sport because of the fashionable snow outfits. Letterman responded, quote, "I like the outfit you got here now." He said, looking at her dress, then added, quote, "You don't ski in that, do you? Whoa, Nelly." And at number 2, Jessica Alba. When Jessica Alba appeared on The Late Show to promote her new movie at the time called Honey, she was trying to keep her composure the whole time while Letterman asked her creepy questions. In one part of the interview, Alba said that she had one issue while filming, because she was asked to wear a very small dress and she was pretty reserved, so she didn't want to. And after talking further about the dress, Letterman quickly asked about the size of this dress, asking, quote, "How tiny was it? Where was it tiny?" And finally, number 1, Charlize Theron. When Charlize Theron appeared on the show to talk about her latest film role in the film Hancock, David Letterman made multiple comments about how she looked throughout the interview. As she was sitting down in the beginning of the show, he said, quote, "Wow, boy oh boy, you look fantastic, beautiful, just gorgeous, a vision, oh my god." Theron then mentioned that her birthday was approaching and joked that Letterman should send her a gift. He told her, quote, "I'm sending you something right now." The conversation then turned to Charlize speaking about her love of the outdoors and camping. Then Letterman asked her, quote, "What's the longest you've gone without showering?" Completely out of the blue, which prompted Paul, the band member, to respond saying, quote, David, behave." Please guys, let me know your thoughts below. Definitely a lot to unpack in the comments. Let me know which one was the worst, the best, the funniest, the cringiest. I don't even know, but just let me know below. That's all for the video today, guys. Thank you so much for sticking around if you made it all the way here. If you liked the video and want to see some more, make sure to like and sub to the channel below. I've been your host, Mackenzie Smith, and I will catch you all in the next one.